Hello friends, welcome back to another vlog. This week I'm going to make my bodice mock-up for Merida and I am super excited. I've been trying to spend more time on my mock-ups. Normally I would just sort of crank them out in a day or two and call it good, which is still something I might try to do because this vlog is very late. I've been working on a bunch of other stuff. But I do want to make sure that this coat, bodice, jacket thing, whatever, looks awesome and looks the way I want it to. And this one is particularly cool because it has these crazy tails. So I am making the Truly Victorian 462 tailcoat bodice for Merida because I thought it would be something that would be lovely flowing behind her riding on that huge horse. However, I am going to make it full tails in muslin because I want to see what that's going to be like. But there's every chance that I will shorten this coat for Merida so that it's not all the way down to the floor. Like, I think that's probably ridiculous. I don't even know if this is all the way down to the floor, although it does kind of look like it's pretty long. So I want to see what there is to see and then possibly make some modifications to it from there. I am going to make it out of the black watch fabric, same as this pretty lady here, and I have decided to tack her pleats on the side here. Let me get you a closer view of what that looks like. There you go. I am going to put some twill tape down here and then just tack all of these down and probably support it somewhere near the waistband so that it's nice and supported on both sides. That brings the front around very nicely and gives me more space to walk, and it looks really lovely. So, but this video is not about this overskirt. So I'm very excited to make this because this is a bodice that has been sitting around in my collection for quite a while and I've been wanting to try it. Very excited about it. So I'm going to take this pile of muslin and I'm going to iron it. It's all washed and everything. I've done montages of ironing stuff in the last two videos. I think you guys know what's going to happen here, so I'm just going to go ahead and iron this fabric without having to do a montage for you. Although, I like the compliments on the slammin' music I've been using. I am hyped to give this one a go. This bodice does have a bunch of different features that I didn't expect because this is the picture on the front. It does have several different neckline decisions you can make and also sleeve decisions. I also want to see if this sleeve is going to be good or if it's going to be Noelle's personal favorite hack of taking the one Truly Victorian sleeve that she likes and putting it into this bodice. So luckily everything I do seems to be 1880s. I don't know what's going to happen when I get back to 1870s. I do want to go back to 1870s. I also want to do some natural form bustle stuff, so we'll get there. We have 399 bustles to go, 398 after this one. So I'm sure there will be other kinds of bustle dresses. I want to make one of those giant bustle dresses with like all the flounces and stuff. I think that would be something people would not expect me to be wearing and that would be fun. Meanwhile, I'm going to work on this one. So I'm going to go iron this fabric, and then I have done the thing that everybody freaks out about every time I cut my patterns, which is I cut my pattern to the size that I normally cut it. That is for a 38-inch waist. However, I've decided for this jacket, I actually want to cut it a little bit bigger. I want to just like not have to be the tightest laced monkey in the world in order to get into it. So I decided I wanted to give myself some space. So I have a pattern cut to 38 inches, but I do want to make it 40. So I'm going to show you what I do to do that because not everyone, because some people, every time I cut a pattern, they're like, oh my god, I can't believe you're cutting your patterns. I traced them because what if you need a different size later? And I'm like, these lines are very parallel and they're very evenly spaced. You could just cut it a little bit bigger. It's not a problem. So I'm going to do that and I'll show you guys doing that. Then I'm going to whip together this bodice and we're going to talk about fitting issues if there are any. There's every chance that I'll be like, I actually want to make the smaller one. That's probably what's going to happen. Because this is what's happened every time I've made them so far. I don't know, it's just wool. I want to give myself a little bit extra space in there. It has a lining and inner lining, so it's definitely going to be thicker than whatever the mock-up is. So I want to have like a little snack space in my costume for me to be able to chill in it. Also, Merida's very like moving around, and I expect to be moving around in this, so I wanted to give myself room to do that. So we're gonna see what it's like at a 40-inch waist. We're just gonna, that's my natural waist size. Like, I could wear this jacket without a corset is what that means probably. So we'll see, I might cut it back a little bit after that, I don't know. So I'm gonna go do the thing. I'll come back with some fabric, we'll talk about cutting. I swear to you that I will shut up about this wool mat at some point. I don't know when that is, but it should be soon, hopefully. This pressing mat, I will leave a link down to it below. I don't get any profit from it. I really wish I did, because that'd be awesome. So many people have told me that they got them and they love them. Okay, one, I did want to answer a question that some people keep asking me. Does it smell when you iron on it? Yes. Yes, it does. It smells like sheep. I love the smell of sheep now, guys. I love it. Because you know what it also means? This is the worst off-grain muslin I've ever had in my life. It wasn't off-grain this time because I pressed it on this mat, and like giving your fabric a solid press will help put it back on grain. I had no trouble like making, so I ironed this completely flat just like I've been doing in every other video, and then ironed it in half, and it's perfect. And I'm like, I love you. I just do. So I'm not saying you need to get one. I'm just saying if you did. Also, I wanted to say, like, I think I said this in the last video, don't iron with this on your dining room table or something. You can definitely take the finish off if you do that. Like, put something else down first, because it's gonna like push all the steam through, and heat does come through. It catches most of it, but it does come through. But mostly the steam comes through. So if you're gonna use steam, put something else down, especially if it's something really nice. Like, these are countertops, so they can take it, but I also have a plastic mat underneath it, which is helping. So you're at your own risk. A lot of people just said they wanted it to iron on the floor with, and I'm like, perfect. Use if you have carpet or tile. I don't know about hardwood. I don't know if I would do that either. Okay, anyway, I love it. I love it. Okay, so we're just gonna do some laying out of, I can use words. This pattern was more crunched up. As I lay out my pattern pieces, I do take my iron on the synthetic setting and just slide it over my pattern. Get it as flat as possible. It's okay for it. In fact, it's great for your sewing. You don't want to sit too long on like parts with ink on them, because that ink can actually come off on your iron. So do make sure you steam your iron out on a cloth afterwards. But yeah, get that nice and flat. So I'm just gonna pin this on out, and then we'll talk about cutting. Okay, we've got our first round pinned down. So let's have a look at that. And here we are. Okay, so I have cut out an eye, which is my normal size, which would give me a 38-inch waist. I don't actually need the sleeves to be any bigger, so I think I probably won't cut the sleeve pieces any larger, because I don't really need to. This is part of that whole tails situation. I do want to read up on this and see if that is exactly how long it is, or if it's supposed to be longer. It looks longer in the picture, so I have no idea. Here's the crisis. We've cut an eye. We want a J. People frequently come and say, why do you cut your patterns? You should trace them out. First of all, tracing out, not my jam. I don't got time for that. So, and everyone's like, oh, it doesn't take as long as cut. I'm like, yeah, it does. It takes way longer for me. If it doesn't for you, that's great. But what if you need a bigger size? Okay, these lines are very predictably getting larger here, right? So I just pin this down here, and then I'll cut like there, because that's about as far as this one is from there. So I just literally cut it bigger. It's not actually that big of a deal. So for anybody who ends up needing this trick, this is what I'm gonna do. This guy, that's an I and a J, so that one's fine. This one is gonna be very easy as well. None of this will be very difficult. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut out these pieces, and you guys can have a watch. And we'll get this whole thing sorted and done with so that we can start working on it tomorrow. Okay, let's have a look at this. You can see I cut it just that same amount bigger. It's eyeballed, it's fine. Same over here. You can see I graduated that up and then I cut it in an equidistant eyeballed place. No big deal. Okay, so I looked in the instructions and nowhere in there does it say to make this longer if you want to. So I just cut it out what the pattern is. But that is nowhere near this. Like, let's all get a grip. Like, this is proportionally like 1.5 times this, so maybe, I don't know. Yeah. I would think that you could just extend this as long as you wanted it though, if you wanted a longer tailcoat. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to try it as it is and see how it is. Another note about these patterns, I've talked about this before. If you have a bodice from Truly Victorian, they have this whole first page about how to like adjust your measurements. So you slide stuff in and out depending on if like you have a small back and a big front, or a big back and a small front, or whatever you can do. I skipped this entire thing. I tried doing this 6 or 7 times. I got measurements that put me in the negative for different sections and I was like, no, the math doesn't work out for that. So what I've learned is if I just flip the page and keep going, these patterns fit me like a glove, which is fantastic. So if you are a plus size person, you might have a little bit of an advantage just cutting the normal pattern. If that doesn't work for you and it's wildly off, then maybe go back to this method and see if this works for you. But I'm definitely a, hey, why don't you guys try just cutting it straight first? So that's what I'm gonna do. So I'm gonna cut out the rest of this pattern. I am also very curious to see if it uses up all of the pattern that it's supposed to. This is one where I actually might trace out the pattern bigger because I do want this neckline here, and I'm not sure. There's another neckline in the picture online that is a triangle, and I'm like, wow, never seen that before. Like, try to pull up that picture and put it up here for you so you can see it. I'm using the evening bodice. It does say that when you fit this, you might want to change this line, so be open to that. So I'm gonna be open to that. I guess I'm not gonna cut out a new paper. I think I'm just gonna draw this in, like the point. I can figure it out. It's math. It's not that hard. So I'm just gonna do that. But yeah, I'm gonna get this all cut out and then probably come back tomorrow and sew it together. And the only part that I think I'm gonna have any questions about is these box pleats. They're box pleats though, so they can't really be that hard. I'm very curious about what this, like, these weird ovals are. What are those? So I need to read all of the instructions first and then read them individually again. So I'll let you know when I find that out. Okay, to be fair, this does call for 45-inch fabric, and I do have 60-inch fabric here. This is 54, I think. So let me tell you, my tartan fabric is also 60 inches. I have all the rest of the pieces here, and this is how much is left over when you cut off 4 3/4. So I didn't need to cut off all of that. I will use it, don't worry, it's muslin. It just goes into a pile of muslin that I'm going to use for something else, it's fine. But if you're using your fancy fabric, this is another reason that a mock-up is critical important. And it's really good to get fabric that's actually the same width as the fabric that you're going to use, because you can work on layouts in your mock-up too. So I'm not like pattern matching or anything with my tartan fabric because that is not who I am as a person yet. I will get there, I promise you, but I at this point don't care. So I'm not going to worry about that. So I'm going to cut it pretty similarly to how I'm cutting this. Eek. I could have saved a lot of fabric, but that's good to know for the future. And I do have a cut that I made from the overskirt that was also wider, even though that one actually said it was for 60-inch fabric. I have an extra like a yard and something, so I'm sure I can fit like one of these sections into that, so yay for that part at least. Dunzo! Prepped and ready. Hello again! Today is day of Talkie Talks. Many recordings. This is what it looks like when I record. So I just need to take this down and then I think I'm gonna get started with the sewy sew. And I'm gonna put this bodice mock-up together and see how it fits. Hopefully it will fit awesomely, but maybe not. I don't know if I'll get it all sewn together today, but who knows what will happen. Let's give it a whirl. Okay, weird angle, but I have taken a pin, this particular pin in case you're wondering, and I have poked tiny holes in this here along this dart and this dart, which are the two darts that I need to mark. And then I draw that so that this thing has a guide to poke a bigger hole. And then I just run it along and I find the hole. And it's in here somewhere. Here's one. Pretty sure there's one before this though. So sometimes you can check both sides. Wait, did I do the right one? No, I didn't. I picked the wrong one. This is the one right here. So I want to do this one. Cool. Did I do one before? Maybe, yeah, here it is. So if you find the other one, you'll find the one across from it. It just gives a place for this thing to set. This thing is called an awl. I can use words that describe things. That pin, I did that one in the wrong place too. I followed the wrong line. So I just do this, and that allows me to stick a pen in here and mark these so that I can afterwards go back and wait, where is it? It's in the wrong place, so let's just pick one. Sometimes it's easier to not do them all ahead of time like I just did, so do as I say, not as I do. Is that right? No, that's not right either. It's the second one. The problem with overlapping ones is, as you can see, these lines are really close together. So now I'm going to make a giant one. That'll be fun. Okay. Do I have another one? I thought I saw one down here. Nope, they like healed themselves. Cool. So I don't do too many. I just do, you know, some. And I do them parallel to each other-ish, because that's the most helpful, especially for finding them. Wait, here. And this lets me make marks. I'm pretty sure I've shown this before, but for anyone who hasn't seen it, I do one kind of close to the edge usually, because that helps me like narrow in on that edge really well. Is that right? Following this line right here. Yep. Okay. Cool. I feel comfortable with that. This one's always easy to find. These ones, for some reason, are easier. And then for a mock-up, I'm just gonna draw it with pen. Like, who cares? This isn't gonna get used for anything except possibly cabbage later. If you are gonna reuse you sometimes can use your mock-up as your lining if you want to use like nice lining fabrics. I am contemplating not having a lining. I'm not sure. I think there's another one, yeah. Because like historical pieces don't typically have linings in them. Like all the ones I've actually seen don't have linings, so I'm thinking like, do I need to do that? Alright, I'm gonna go get a pen. I like a ballpoint, but you can do chalk pencil if it makes you feel better. I like these Marriott pens, which I steal from the Marriott. Not sponsored. They tend to leave a really good mark. They have like a good amount of like ink flow in them. These are the pens that like occasionally I'll write with them and they'll like explode all over your hand, but in this one instance that's actually kind of good. So let's see here. I do usually like to check that I'm not doing something stupid. Yep, I can see them. That's great. Okay, so just continue marking. and we're done. Fantastic. Okay, then we mark the other side, and the other side is slightly tricky because of that thing that I did where I had to cut extra for a size up. It's going to be slightly off on both sides, right? But this one isn't pinned to it, so you know what, while I'm here, let's just go ahead and draw these lines in. I just use a straight edge. And this is not an exact science, kids, and it doesn't matter. Like, if these darts, I mean, the darts do matter, that's a lie. They are a thing that changes the shape of your garment. But, like, if you're ever so slightly off, you can fix it. It's not a big deal. Like, I have one hole here, it just doesn't look like it's in the... This dot doesn't match to the rest of these dots. I'm gonna go with the, like, majority rule. So, you're in charge of your own dart destiny. So don't feel weird if you end up moving some darts around. How is this? This is great. It's weird to draw a line on top of this felt pad because it's squishy, which I've never tried to do before. Burr, burr, burr. Looking good. Nope, those are all off. Cool. We're gonna make another pass. Let's see how this goes. Yeah, this outer line's better. Alright, so we're gonna flip the whole mess over. And I know that this side has, like, yeah, that lines up. Oh, the bottom lines up. That's actually super helpful. Great. Okay. And just do the whole thing again. And we're done-so! Yay! So I saw a Snappy Dragon video the other day, I will link her down below, who was talking about how she does this transfer of dart situation where she draws on her pattern with a chalk pencil / piece of chalk, whatever, and then she puts it upside down onto the fabric and then rubs it so the chalk transfers to the thing. I mean, you can use transfer paper, there's like a million different ways to do this, so you do you your way. Her way was pretty clever. I'm too lazy for that. And also, I don't know if I want chalk everywhere. So, yeah. Maybe for the real pattern, though, I might do that because I'll probably use a chalk pencil, like, still poking holes. Anyway, you do you. This is just how I do it, in case you want to know how I do it, but there's a million ways to do this. Okay, I'm gonna go put the darts in so that they are in this pattern. And then it's just a bunch of, like, sewing stuff together, and I think until we get to the pleat part, which is the part that I'm like, cool too. And there's only 11 more instructions to do, so this isn't that big of a deal. Okay, so we have the dart sewn in, and then what I do is leave the tails a little bit long. You get a shot of the back of my hand. How fun. I untwist them because they will definitely somehow always be super twisted up. And then I just go ahead and put, like, a square knot in here or a double knot of your choice. And then clip these threads. And that's how I finish off darts. Other people do it other ways. This is the way I've been taught. Okay, so the next thing is to sew the backs to the side backs, and then also there are both of these two huge pieces that are right here. So we're going to sew along the curve seam, and then along a long seam, and leave this part open. So I'm gonna go pin that together. Okay, so we're all pinned up. I'm gonna go sew this, and then it's basically take all the pieces and sew them together. So I'm just gonna do that and assume that that's not something you need to watch me do. The bust line on my dress form is obviously not where my bust line will be on me because it doesn't have a corset on, and it can't really. But I do think it is, so far, is super cute. I haven't done any of the sleeves, I haven't tried any of that yet. I need to pop a collar on it for sure. The thing that is, and this is like a good length here. Oh my god, you guys, the back though is so cute. Like, it almost did the box pleats on its own just by like putting it on there, so I don't think that's gonna be a huge crisis. It's really long, like it's only slightly shorter than the bottom of my overskirt. I don't know what that means. It means my overskirt doesn't necessarily show it. You know, this can have obviously more than one bodice to go with it. I could also shorten this. I haven't decided what to do. I'm just like taking my first looks at it right now, but oh, it's super cute. It's definitely looser fit than most of my other bodices, so I can see that making it a size bigger, I don't know, those all fit fine, and they fit really well. They're like, everyone's like, ooh, nice fit, but you know, sometimes you want a little space. So I'm just gonna see what it's like when I put this on. I also have to remember, like, I'm making this out of wool. It's gonna be inner lined and then maybe lined. I gotta, like, I guess, no, it needs to be lined because I need to definitely not have wool touching me, so at least the sleeves need to get lined. I don't know if the inner lining is the whole thing, so I gotta find that out too. So it's like several layers of very thick stuff, so making it a size bigger will help me also like absorb some of that space that the cloth is gonna take up. So I bet you it'll still be just as snug and fit just as well as my other ones. Anyway, I think it's super cute. So we are on step 9, which is to clip and press all seams. The rest of this is all stuff having to do with lining, which I'm not dealing with right now. And then I need to put the collar and the sleeves on and form the pleats. And it's like, iron the pleats for best effect. And I'm like, of course. Probably what will end up happening is I'll iron them and then just tack them slightly towards the top, so they like hold up nicely at the top. We'll see. Anyway, this is very exciting. So I'm gonna press my seams, because even though it is just a mock-up, I think that will matter to some extent, so I'm going to go ahead and do all that. And pop the collar on, and maybe check out some sleeves and see what they're like. I'll put at least one sleeve on. I did cut 2 sleeves, which was silly, but I'll put one sleeve on and see how it feels, and if I need to switch to my other generalized sleeve pattern, I will have to make a new pattern for that to fit the arm's eye, so that will be a thing. But let's see how this one does, because maybe it's awesome. Okay, so I got the collar on, which is awesome, and I pinned it up and ironed it at 6.5 inches shorter than that it was, and I kind of like that a little bit better because it shows a little bit more of the underskirt, which I think is cool, and it will add more like texture to this look. I do like it at that length though, so I think I'm probably going to leave that there. We'll see. And I could go up another inch or two, but I also want to see what it looks like once it's actually pleated. So I need Chris to put me into my corset so I can try it on, and I want to do that before I put a sleeve on because I want to know if I need to like tighten up these seams at all, and that will change the arm's eye. So I definitely want to try it on before and see what it's like with a corset on. So since it's 3 o'clock in the morning and he's asleep, I am gonna stop working on this. I guess I could try to figure out like the pleats and put them down. That wouldn't be a horrible thing to do tonight, but I have other stuff I need to do around here, so I might do some of that. Anyway, pick this back up tomorrow and hopefully try it on, figure it out, get a sleeve on, see how it goes, and then if it all looks good, we will call this awesome, and if not, we will make adjustments. Okay, I have 2 of these box pleats in the back. I decided to go ahead and give this a whirl since I'm clearly not going to sleep yet. So I'm trying to get you an okay shot of how this works. I have chosen a method that I don't know if other people use, but I'm gonna give it a whirl. I've done it here twice and it has worked out great, so I thought I would share it with you guys. So I get my box plate, which is basically all of this fabric here. It has a seam in it, so I already have a center, which is great. If not, you just pull it taut, find your center, and put a pin there. And then I basically open it up because there's a box pleat. It's a double box pleat on either side. So I open it all the way up, and if I did not press my skirt seams. Caught red-handed. I did press all those though. Okay, so I'm gonna pin that guy in right on the center line if I can, or as close to it as possible. And then I'm gonna take each of the sides and I'm gonna essentially find the middle. This is, I mean, the same thing as I was trying to explain the other day with pleating in the last video. So I find the middle and I'm gonna put a presser, little thumb press in there. And then I'm gonna put a pin in. And you don't have to do the pin part, but it helps me have like something to just grab and guide the fabric with. And I'm gonna essentially open up, so I have it, it's pinned like this. I'm gonna open up this hole here, and I'm gonna take this pin and push it towards that pin down the middle, so like this. So now I have two flaps, right? Those two flaps are your double box pleats. You just put them together. Biggity bam, you have a double box pleat. And then I will go ahead and just lay everything as flat as I can get it to make sure it's all looking good. Maybe mess with the fabric a little bit. And then I'll take out that one that I had in the center of the this side, and I'll go ahead and just pin this in for right now. You guys can hear Roxy outside crying because she really wants to have a snuggle, and I'm like, it is not snuggle time. Okay, I'm going to do the other side the exact same way. This one does overlap this other box pleat I have going. Oh, I just shoved that pin into my finger. That was awesome. See how this one here overlaps this one? So they do overlap. At least on this coat. Okay, so same tactic. This is super fast and easy. I hate doing box pleats, and everybody else seems to really like it, but it annoys me. So this is the way I have found to like not go insane doing this. So I put that in there right at the center point, and I just shove them together and then lay one on top of the other, and we're all good. And then I hold it and I mess with the fabric and get it all laying nice so it's pretty. Make sure they're kind of even-ish. They are even-ish. And then I'm gonna go ahead and pin this guy down. I have a wool pressing mat under here, as you guys well know, because I talk about it all the time. So it's really actually like I have to make sure to lift it up to pin. Okay, so that's very solidly in here. So I have all the box pleats in. There are three. There's these two and then the one in the center. So I'm gonna go put this back on my mannequin so I can see what these box pleats look like. Okay, in order to show you the box pleats now, I had to actually cut it off because having it hemmed up and then pinned in was just like causing weird things to happen down here. Just so, like, I'm just committing to this. This is what happened. This is what the box pleats look like in the back, and I think it's stinking cute. It's gonna look a little bit differently because the wool is much heavier and thicker and it's gonna drape, you know, slightly differently. But the silhouette is cute. I think this jacket adds cute texture to the back when the skirt is in there, and it's great. This is gonna be a whole dark thing though. Like, I don't know how I'm ever gonna photograph it in this room because it's so dark. Like, it's black watch, it's gonna have a green skirt, which is kind of dark. So, did I tell you guys about this? I don't even know if I told you guys about this, that I went on a hunt. Look at this plaid next to this plaid. Whew, that looks bright. I went hunting for fabric, and I had this in my stash, and how perfect is that color? So, this is the one I'm using. Anyway, I'm pretty hype on this. So, yeah, it's 5 o'clock in the morning though, so I'm gonna go to sleep. But the box pleating method worked out really well, and I really like it. And I guess maybe I should baste those in tomorrow before I try this on, but other than that, we're getting there. Okay, so it's the next day. I'm in my corset. There's my cleavage. I paused playing games. Say hi, guys! They're all playing Among Us. So I'm gonna give this a try now. In the immortal words of Bill Clinton, I'm here to report on the State of the Union, and the State of the Union is good. So I'm very happy with this. I'm happy with the fit. Okay, let me flip this around and show you. There's a couple things I'm gonna do, maybe one. Okay, so the fit is really good. I like that it's ever so slightly loose because there's gonna be like a lot of layers in here, as we said. The boning will help it keep shape, so I'm excited about that. I am gonna lower this neckline like maybe up to 2 inches, and then even if it gets like a little bit lower than my corset, and then throw a ruffle in it. So that seems to be the change that I want to make there. I think the collar is silly and we're gonna go with it anyway. I need to, you guys can't even see, I need to, as usual, raise my arm side point, so I will do that. But as you can see, it's like kind of only in the front that needs to happen. Let's have a look at the back. All right, here's the back. I think it fits really well. The pleats look great. If I have to, I will put a waist tape in to hold it against my waist really nicely, because I'm afraid that these pleats might pull it out a little bit. A waist tape might be helpful. I don't see anything that I hate about the back of this. Maybe I might shorten or like make the neck a little bit lower, maybe by 1/2 inch. That might happen. So I would need to adjust the collar pattern as well. So I don't know, it fits right on that bone. So battery died. I like Truly Victorian patterns because they seem to fit me really well. Some of you guys asked what I'm looking for when I fit, so let me just talk about that a little bit. Okay, so when I'm fitting, first of all, I just look for comfort. Like, does it look good? Like, are you happy with it? In a Victorian, I look that it's following the lines of my corset. I look for anything that's like wrinkling, like it would look like that. This area, because of the way corsets work and the way bodies work and the way jackets work, usually needs some padding put in here. And I'm actually pretty bad about putting padding in mine, but I'm gonna do better, I promise. This is my commitment to 2021. I do look at any pulling that might happen, like you can start seeing diagonal lines. There's a little bit of it right here, but that's largely because I pinned it sort of weird. So I'm not really worried about that one. I'm looking for it hitting me at the right shoulder point. My actual shoulder point is here, so I will cut it slightly lower than that. Late Victorian styles are right at the shoulder point, so I'm gonna mark my shoulder point and then add like 1/2 inch. And that's actually like what I will do in the final version as well, is just try it on, mark it, and cut it. So I'm looking for drag lines. I'm not really seeing any here. That wouldn't be solved by a little bit of boning. That will hold it in place, so that's good. And in the back, I'm looking for the same thing. I'm looking for a good fit across my back. I'm looking for any drag lines. I'm looking for anywhere that it bunches, that sort of thing. Like, you can see it bunching right there, but that's partially because of how I'm standing. Because if I come back over here and stand differently, that bunching goes away. Clothes move, people. Like, that's a really good thing for you guys to like also register. They have wrinkles, they move, they bunch, they do things. You just want it not to be excessive, because you're a human body who is in motion all the time. And so if you make your clothes fit glove tight at all times, you won't be able to move. It sucks. So don't expect perfection. Just look for like things that you could fix. Like, I was fiddling around with this and seeing if I wanted to lower it. And then I was like, actually, I don't. I like where it sits. I like this collar. I think the height of it is really good. So that's essentially what I'm looking for. I mean, if I was looking on another person, I'd be a lot more critical about it because it's really hard to fit yourself. But this is where we are, and for the purposes of Merida, a cosplay during a pandemic, this fit is great. Okay, 2 things I wanted to talk about. One is that you do need to know where the shoulder seams are supposed to be for your era. That is a thing about fitting. So I know that late 1880s fashion, the shoulder seams are right at the shoulder and sometimes even above that, but I like right at the shoulder. and that's what's in the picture that I'm using, so that's what I'm gonna do. There are some periods when there's a drop shoulder and the shoulder seams are like down here, and yes, that does actually make it so you can't lift your arm very much, which is one of the reasons I don't like those periods. I hate drop shoulders, so I typically don't costume those periods. I also don't like the rest of the look. Like, for me, I love it on other people. I think it's great. And if they want to be uncomfortable, I am here to take photos of them and be friends with them and look at them. It's just not my jam. So you do need to know that. So that's a thing that you should investigate when you're deciding what costume you want to make, is like, where should your shoulder seam be? It's like one of those questions that becomes really important at some point. The second thing I wanted to talk about was that I need to sew down these pleats, these ones, because they keep coming out every time that I put a jacket on or off this, because it's wool and it's grabbing onto the thing and it's pulling it. You know how wool works. So I'm actually going to stop, do this, and then sew some sleeves together. I have to make both of them, I think, because I can't figure out which one. I mean, I could pin it together and probably, I have cut them, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm trying the left one because that's where I drew. So I don't know which one's which, basically. So I need to cut the arm's eye and then sew the thing together and put the thing in and see if the thing looks good. So we're gonna find out. Okay, these pleats are tacked down and locked in, and that was more painful than I thought it was gonna be. I did it on a piece of twill tape in here, which is anchored at the waistline, but on the outside of the waistband, on the inside. So that's all done, and that's exciting. And I did it on both sides, and I love the way it looks now. It's gonna go dark, but there it is. This side I'm less excited about because this particular pleat is annoying to me because it like fizzles here. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm learning to let go. Everyone learn to breathe with me. So whatever, it's cool. All right, sleeves. Okay, so we have the sleeve here, and I can feel that it's too snug, like at the very top, especially when I pull this up to where it should be. And you can kind of see it. There's like see that drag line that's happening right there? That doesn't happen if you, yeah, you can see it form, if you have enough space there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull the seam allowances out of this, and then I'm just going to sew it at 1/4 inch instead of a 1/2 inch and see if that helps. Okay, so this fits much better. I don't have any tightness. The only lines happen when I extend my arm straight, and that's because this is a curved, like the natural position is like this. So, but I'm not seeing giant drag lines anywhere that aren't abnormal for sleeves. So I guess for sleeves I have a 1/4 inch seam allowance. That is what I just learned. Alrighty, I'm gonna try this on without flailing my camera around, which is a thing I normally do. Okay, so it looks really good. I like it. I am gonna mark where the top of my corset is, and then probably bring it down about 1.5 inches, looks like, plus a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So that looks right. I like the sleeve. It went in well. It fits nicely. This will need padding out, just like all the arms look good. The back looks pretty good. Everything fits really well. Swooping around to this back. Super excited about that. That is the top of my tank top. You can see it looks just like a bra. Interesting. Okay, so I had to make an arm side adjustment, as you saw. I didn't cut off very much, which is normal. And it helps also reduce the ease. I could have actually probably cut off just a little bit more, but the sleeve is just fine. So we'll see what happens in the final. I do keep the cutoff piece to the one I have now so that I can compare it to the one from the final piece. You can see that this shoulder is slightly lower than this shoulder. I wonder if, like, that's, what is that? This, do you see this right here? Like, I could pinch out a little bit. Interesting. Wonder if the weight of the wool will help tone that down. I guess we're gonna find out. Everybody has one shoulder that's usually lower than one other, or it's in your hips. It depends on like your body, but it depends on if you carry your purse, how much stuff's in your purse, how you walk, that kind of stuff. But I'm definitely, like, I see extra right here. So that, does that concern me? Not really. I think if I put a waist tape in, that would also pull that down. And I think when this has a sleeve on it, it will change how that rests also. So I'm gonna check that out. I'll keep an eye on that part though. Anyway, I like it. I think it looks good. I'm into it. I did a minor little adjustment to the angle of where the shoulder seam meets back there, just on this one side, and I'll just indicate that that actually helps a lot with how that sits. So I'm gonna check that out when I cut the real thing and maybe make a minor adjustment when I'm putting this together. Probably gonna be a lot of try-ons for that one because it's just on one side, but I do like that it sits lower better, so yeah, we're gonna think about that. I guess that means I'm done for the week. Yeah, got this done. I'm gonna go straight into making this bodice, so immediately following this, probably gonna work on some other stuff tonight, and then tomorrow start steaming wool and cutting, because I want to get this cranking, because I got a bunch of stuff to do still. I mean, I still have to make the skirts, I have to make the bodice, I have to make the wig, I have to do decoration, so I have about a month and a week left, a month and 2 weeks maybe, so I feel like I gotta get moving. I think this color is hysterical. It's just like this little like shield in the back of my neck. What a weird thing. Anyway, so I'm going to call this video done. I'm going to edit it and throw it up for you guys so you guys can check this out, and then I'm gonna dive straight in starting tomorrow. So that should be cool. I hope you guys are having a great week. My week has been chaotic. Yeah. Trying to get a better work-life balance. I'm always trying to get a better work-life balance. So I played some Zelda last night. I might go play some Zelda now that I'm done with this, like, little reward. I had a, as Abby would tell me, a hard Mercury in retrograde this time. So I'm glad that's over and I'm feeling a little bit better. But yeah, it's been a weird week for me. Just like emotional. I don't know where it came from, but it was like a lot of like thinking through the future of this channel, of my life, of going back to work, of not going back to work, just like tons of stuff. So lots of stuff's been on my mind, but having this bodice mock-up done is pretty cool, so I'm into that. Anyway, I will see you guys next time. Leave me messages down below with how you guys have been doing, what you're listening to, what you're reading, what you're watching, all that kind of stuff. I forgot that the Golden Compass, no, his Dark Materials, it's no longer on. The Golden Compass is back on, and I like didn't watch the whole thing, so now I get something to binge watch, which I'm really excited about. So I'm between books for the podcast, so I'm gonna start the next one. I think we're gonna read the first Mortal Engines book, which is, I think is called City of Bones, so gonna see what that's like. Okay, leave me notes, subscribe if you haven't, leave me a thumbs up if you like this video, and I will see you next time with hopefully a Merida bodice. Bye guys.